switch gears just a little bit, pivot to a different issue. You said that we need a real ceasefire candidate. I'm assuming that means you would be the real ceasefire candidate. When you call for a ceasefire, are you also calling for a release of the hostages?
Yeah, we need a release of the hostages.
So,
We need a release of the hostages. Yeah. And we need architecture for a two-state solution.
Do you believe there should be a ceasefire without the release of the hostages? Or do you think those are in tandem?
There needs to be a ceasefire. There needs to be an unconditional ceasefire. That is the best way to make this happen. I read even this morning that the negotiations that were set to take place, I think today or tomorrow, the United States representatives are there, Qatar is there, Hamas representatives are there. Netanyahu is now saying that he's not willing to have Israel take part in those negotiations until and unless Hamas gives him the names of the remaining hostages. To me, that's just a delay technique, and we can't afford that kind of thing.
I just think it's important to really nail down what you mean here. When you say unconditional ceasefire, does that mean a ceasefire regardless of if the hostages are released?
I believe that an unconditional ceasefire actually more powerfully paves the way to the release of the hostages than what is happening now. You know, somebody told me that they heard their minister say, I can't remember where it was, but their minister had said, "Whose tears do you want me to ignore?" I thought that was a very powerful statement to come from clergy. Whose tears do you want me to ignore? We have to stop playing these kinds of games with people's lives. The horror of an Israeli, the horror of a Palestinian. You know, to me, the American foreign policy should align with our own values, and our highest ally should be with humanity itself. We cannot support this bombardment of Gaza. We cannot support this policy of Benjamin Netanyahu's and remain aligned with our own principles on which we purport to stand. I say this as someone who supports Israel. I say this as a Jew. I say this as someone who is deeply concerned about global anti-Semitism. I am deeply concerned about the delegitimization of the right of Israel to even exist. Trust me, that's where I stand. And I stand for the fact that I don't believe that this bombardment of Gaza obviously does not serve the Palestinians. In the long run, I don't even think it serves the Israelis.
But what would happen to those hostages then if you believe that there should be a ceasefire, Israel pulls out? Do you really believe Hamas would just let the hostages go? Because nothing has proven so far for that to be true.
Clearly, negotiations are necessary. This is where Qatar comes in. This is where Jordan comes in. This is where the UAE comes in. This is where Egypt comes in. Major Arab powers. We need an internationalist approach here. No, none of those people want a wider regional war. None of those people want Iran to be part of this. And yet, those Arab leaders have said, and in a way understandably, that they're not going to do anything beyond what they're doing until and unless Israel accepts that a path to a two-state solution is the only sustainable future. Both sides are going to have to make some movements here.